Semi-pros. The semi-pros.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up. Let's go.
It's live, mate.
Thanks for joining us on the Semi-Pros. Great to have your company on the show this week. Team's here with me. Troy Gursky, how are you?
Great, mate. Getting through this ISO stuff and cracking into my esports. You know how much I love it. Esports, you get the joystick out and have fun.
The Atari.
Yeah, the Atari. Commodore 64, love it all.
Geez, your joystick you'd be well used, mate.
Is that right, Joel?
How are you, Joel?
Bathurst was on last night. Bathurst, they raced.
Did they?
Who won?
Didn't watch it. I don't know.
Did Brocky win?
They did the 161 laps or whatever?
Don't know,
I
mate.
saw Will Powell blowing up something about that during the week, actually. Anyway, Steve Glover, how are you?
Mate, any better would be dangerous. At the moment. Yeah.
Joel Steele, how are
Going
you?
well, mate. Going real well. I got my black book out ready to list them off when Tony just starts rattling them away here in a minute. So just got my pen in hand, mate, and I'm ready to go.
Great segue guest on the program this week, none other than Tony Gollan. How are you?
Good morning, guys. Yep. Or afternoon, guys, I should say. Well, it feels like
Tony, Hong Kong, mate.
it took that long to set this up. It feels like morning already.
Yeah, we work with the best.
Your tech bloke onto it, mate.
Yeah.
You'd have one, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it looks like it. I'm in an empty office, so the tech man's away.
He's got the night. Well, mate, great to have you on the show. Exciting time coming up, the carnival. So racing-wise, as we know at the moment with sport, everything that's going on, racing's the only show in town, continues on. We look like we weren't going to have a carnival. Now we're going to have a form of a carnival. So I guess from your point of view, that's good news.
Well, it's better than what they first announced anyway, which was nothing. So that comes as a bit of a shock, particularly us here. We had a big team of horses, preparing for this time of the year, and when they just said, "Oh, the carnival's off," it was a real shock. And like our first thing was, as long as we're racing and we've got something, and then as racing was looking like it was going to continue to go, which it has, thought of having no carnival was pretty drastic for us. And the Racing Queensland put a 6-week, a makeshift carnival. I guess you would call it, and listed a couple of Group 1s there, and hopefully we can be part of it.
With those Group 1s, there's one that's very important to you, meaning that you got a horse there that gained exemplary entry into it. So I'm guessing, while it's not the same prize money, of course the horse I refer to is Vega 1, you'd be glad that it's on.
Yeah, definitely. It was all part of his summer campaign. Really, it was this time last year where I started thinking, this horse could be a Stradbroke horse next year. How do I get there? And then they announced that gateway race, and it really added to what was a pretty good summer carnival, I thought, here in Queensland. And he was able to win that. Takes the pressure off being ballot free. To get into a handicap. The handicaps are tricky. You got to try and get in it the right way, but also get in the race. So he was able to do that in the summer, and we could set our sights on this. And as soon as I heard the carnival was off, my heart sort of did sink, because I thought, I'm in the Stradbroke. I've just got to get him up and get him to his best form, and we're at least in the race. So the first bit of it was ticked off, and now there's a carnival on. I guess we head towards it.
Did you change your thought pattern at all with the horse? When they first basically said, well, there's no carnival, the options changed a lot, obviously.
When they said that, I probably didn't know what to think. I know the owner's thought pattern was changing rapidly. They were talking about, taking him back to Melbourne and doing all sorts of things, and not so much taking him off me, but looking at where they would maybe want me to go, or if I couldn't go, to send him somewhere and things like that. So it was pretty prickly, really. You got these horses that are carnival horses, and I don't think Racing Queensland probably thought that bit of it out enough. They wanted to keep racing going, yes, which was fantastic. But when they axed the carnival, it put a big hole for the owners of these type of horses that are carnival horses. Just what do they do with them? Because they can't afford to miss half a season. Like, they only get probably a couple of years in that window. You can't afford to waste it. So the owners were starting to get a bit panicky.
With a race like the Stradbroke and those more prestigious races, is it going to affect the visitors that we have come from the southern borders crossing up in those races? Are they still going to be eligible to come up and nom and qualify and get their spots, or is it going to be more restricted to the locals?
No, it won't be restricted in any way. It'll be open to everyone. It's just the getting into the borders, getting into the states, it's a lot harder. The horses, it's not hard, but it's a lot harder with people. So Godolphin, for example, I've heard today they've already got staff got up here today to quarantine in Queensland. So when they send their team up, they'll have their staff quarantined for 14 days. So the restrictions on people are no different to anyone else, really, any other industry that's still going. If anyone wants to come from out of the state into Queensland, you've got to quarantine here for 14 days prior to commencing any sort of work duty. So it makes it a lot harder for everyone, any of the interstate people. So that will probably reflect on the numbers, definitely, and the quality of horses coming up here.
Tony, you've spoken about Vega 1 obviously qualifying already in the ballot exemption, but is there any others that you sort of got your particular mindset on the Group 1 sort of, that you're sort of pushing towards certain races?
Yeah, we've only got the 2 Group 1s now. So we got the Stradbroke and we got the and the JJ Atkins, and they've shifted the JJ, which is a 2-year-old race, over a mile. They've tripped it back to 1400. So with the shortened carnival, they've made significant changes, obviously. But with the Stradbroke, I've got Outback Barbie as well. She was really good in the summer. Both them horses, her and Vega 1, both won Magic Millions Day. So she's back. You'll see her kick off on the 9th, the day of our winter carnival here, and she'll have 2 runs before the Stradbroke. So she's my other probably big seed with Vega 1 in that race. There's horses like Silvera that are running this weekend. I mean, at a pinch, you could maybe, but they're not really Stradbroke horses. But being such a unique year, who knows? There may be a 3-year-old that might pop their hand up as well, but we just got to wait and see what happens in the next few weeks.
Hey, mate, I want to take you back a bit, back to your earlier days of Spirit and Temple of Boom, mate. You pinch yourself sometimes these days when you just think the ride that those two have taken you on and then propelled you into the area of your career, mate.
Mate, for sure. I wouldn't be here, talking gibber to you guys on a podcast if it wasn't for them 2 horses, that's for sure. Like they took me all over Australia. Temple of Boom actually got invited to go to the Newmarket. It's probably the one regret I have that I didn't take him over to England at the time. Was when after he won the race up the straight at Flemington, he got invited to head over there. And after he won that, then he won the Galaxy, and we didn't go that way. So that's the only regret. But no, they've been awesome. They got me, took me everywhere, taught me so much about. They well travelled me, taught me so much about training, and we were able to springboard, I guess, off the back of their success. And we're sitting here now with 90 horses in Brizzy, so I owe it all to them, really.
Tell us the story of the Booms, Tony. How did that all come about? How did they lob with you? There's quite a story with it, the background and the pedigree, etc., etc.
Yeah, it's a bit of a sliding doors moment. Like, my father trained Special Dane, so when I was a kid, I used to have to look after him. So I strapped him. He bought him for Peter Overall. I strapped him as a kid, slept in front of his box on my 18th birthday when he was getting ready for the Magic Millions. And then he was an okay stallion, but he had a few fertility issues. So anyway, to cut long story short, I was out at Eureka looking at some spellers, and I had a pretty ordinary gelding out there spelling in the paddock, and there was 6 other horses in the paddock, and there was this the yearling filly out there that I hadn't sold, and she was by Special Dane, just funny enough, and she just took my eye out of the 7 horses, and I said, who's she, who owns her? And she had no owners. And I said, that'd be good, I'll be able to buy her. And they said, it should be about 40,000. I said, yeah, no worries, I'll be able to get that together. Well, I didn't have 40,000 pieces of dirt to throw at her, let alone $40,000. So lo and behold, 2 weeks' time, I couldn't rack up that 40,000 to get her. And I asked them if I could just train her, and they said no initially. And then a month later, Colin McAlpine rang me back and said, yeah, I'll do a deal with you and you can train her. And that ended up being the mother of Temple of Boom and Spirit of Boom. I give her 15 starts. I think she won 7 or 8 races. I think she was only out of the place 2 times, something like that, and she retired, went to stud. Temple of Boom was the first foal out of her. I was always going to buy the first foal out of her, so I just loved her as a racehorse. And that was him. The next foal was Spirit of Boom. And so really just, from strapping a horse for my father to finding a filly in the paddock that was by the horse that he trained, out of 7 other horses, it's a random chain of events, brought me along into that family. And now, Spirit of Boom's given me Outback Barbie, etc. And he's like the gift that just keeps giving. So it's been a family that's changed my life.
You see that a lot with trainers, actually, that they tend to buy the families of horses they've had success with previously. Is there some sort of I suppose, an emotional attachment to the success you have, and you just enjoy that. I know Bjorn Baker's had, like, through families that he's trained the mothers of, and now he's sort of getting some pretty good horses through those families' ties as well.
Go back to the
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think Bart Cummings was really big on that. He always, bought and out of the families he had success with. I think a lot of that's to do with, the family. You understand how to train them. You see traits in the family. So when you're looking at the yearlings, when you look at a yearling, you want to obviously looking for a nice horse. But if you've known a horse has been good in the family, you've trained it, who's been really good. Obviously, when you come from Toowoomba, you don't know that many of them. You know more as you get more experience. But you look to see similarities in siblings, because that's the best, closest you can sort of get out of the pedigrees. So I think you often dig for gold where you found gold before. So there is a fair bit in that, Steve. You do go back to, if you've had really good success out of families, you see similarities in siblings, you try and train them again.
And Tony, how much has your business changed when you consider, you sort of joked before about not having 40,000 bits of dirt to throw at a horse, to now you look at some of the colours obviously that run in your name, so some of the owners involved there, and from the Huddies, through all the success that they've had, Rosemont, so the list goes on and on and on and on. How much has your business changed, I guess, as a result of where you came from in Toowoomba to now where you sit as, undoubtedly Queensland's number one trainer and one of the best in Australia?
Yeah, no, it's changed a lot. I mean, it's sort of, even Saturday we trained that winner for Rosemont, which you just mentioned, and Neil Werrett was one of the owners there that named Black Caviar. It's a little bit surreal getting a text for him, 2 minutes after the horse wins. Well done, mate. Good on you. That wouldn't have happened 10 years ago. He wouldn't have known who Tony Gollan was. So it's changed a lot. Our business is quite big, and we've got really good support from clients, not only here in Brisbane, and we've still got clients from Toowoomba. Of course, Eureka Studder's still a really good client of ours. But we're clients all over the country. So it's been really good. The move down to Brisbane has certainly helped that. But, getting back to Troy's stuff earlier, it's all on the back of two really good horses. And I think we're able to manage them quite well, and we're able to grow off their success.
Yeah. How amazing was that day? Was it 10,000? They ran 1-2.
Yeah, they ran 1-2 in the Victory Stakes earlier around the other way, and then 2 starts later they ran 1-2 in the 10,000. So that was some winter carnival for us. That was my best carnival ever, 2014.
Did you take the Quinella, mate?
No, I didn't.
Exactly.
I think I backed Spirit of Boom straight out, but and then Temple just got beat in Australia. That's the closest I've come. Got beaten a head bobber by River Lads. So hopefully I can turn that second around to a win this year.
So, mate, all parents will say they don't have a favourite kid, but deep inside they do. Which one was your favourite?
Out of them two, I always say the mother was my favourite, Temple's Spirit. She was my favourite. She's the best. She's my favourite horse I've trained. Out of them two, I don't know. I can't pick between my kids. I'm going to sit on the fence.
Fence stood up.
I've got splinters in my ass there, haven't I?
I think it's a reasonable position to have. What about now, Tony, with, you talk about horses now and the way the stable's going at the moment. Now, Isotope created quite an impression. Seemed like it was the biggest.
It was real good of Bailey to tip it to us too, yeah.
Biggest tip in the world, but bolted in. You mentioned before a race like the JJ, things like that. I don't know. What's your thought, Pat? What's your thoughts with Isotope with the carnival on our doorstep?
Look, I guess we're going to learn a lot more on the weekend to take the step up at the sunny coast. I know it's 1,000 metres, and I'd prefer not to be there, to be honest. I'd rather be at 1,200 with her now. I've got no issues with her going out in trip. I don't really have an issue going back to the 1,000 on that sort of testing track, but I prefer to be going on with her. But we'll get a good idea. There's a couple of nice 2-year-olds in it. Steve O'Day's filly's pretty good, and Chris Munster's horse Cavac's got a bit of ability too. So they're not the top of the tree. There'll be better 2-year-olds as the carnival goes on, but certainly it's a good step for our filly. I think she's really good. I always have. She showed us a lot before Christmas, just needed a bit of time, and look, I think you'll see a pretty good filly on Saturday. I think you'll see, if we can hold her together and she can keep on improving like she's doing at the moment, you'll see a good filly throughout the whole carnival.
Is she your best 2-year-old?
Yeah.
No, none of the older got a better one at home. You think this one goes good? You know, everyone says that.
Yeah, no, I can't. I know you guys. I can't talk shit to you, so I might as well tell you the truth. No, she's the best 2-year-old I got. She's shown us that from a bit, you know, like as other 2-year-olds mature and develop, there's a few nicely bred things here that have shown a bit of raw potential. But from what I've seen of what we've got at this point in time, she's the best.
Where'd you buy her from?
We bought her at Magic Man's. John Foote does my bloodstock, majority of my bloodstock stuff, and he picked her out. So from Dan Dean Stud, she's bred up there on the Downs. Jan Clark stud up there, bred them nice and tough. And a lovely filly, just, you know, needed a bit of time to mature, and she's developed into a cracking type of horse. And, you know, I think you'll see something pretty good Saturday.
Is it fairly cheap? So the deep fields, like a couple of them that fly have been bargain buys.
Yeah, she was 170,000, so she wasn't too dear. She was pretty good. You know, takes you a long way on a bus, but it's not dear at Magic Millions.
A bit more than the 40K you were trying to ring together a few years ago, whatever you said.
Yeah, exactly. We sold this one pretty well straight away, so it was good.
Yeah, Steve's filthy that you didn't tip him into that instead of Lumen Large.
Lumen Large went good in poor bugger.
Rip open the scars, Joel.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I'm glad you brought that up tonight.
Yeah.
Now, the colours of Isotope, Brian Simpson, again, like I was saying, we want to get him on the show actually in the coming weeks, but he's been. Now, I remember going back a long time. Does he still rate for you as the luckiest owner you've got? Now, wasn't he first horse at Carlo? Won plenty, almost won a week.
Carlo, yeah, run second at Wheatwood. He's very tinny. Jeez,
he's a dead set leprechaun, isn't he?
Oh, mate, he's been hit up the arse by a rainbow everywhere he goes. He just turns everything into gold. So,
mate, what was the story? Did he date one of your sisters back in the day? Or was that the connection?
Yeah, Zoe. Yeah, he used to date Zoe. Yeah,
how's that, eh? God.
Good mate.
He mightn't have much luck there, but he had a bit of luck elsewhere.
Geez, he's had some luck with the horses, seriously, hasn't he? Well, Catalo, he was in both the booms. Were they his first three horses? Is that right?
No, we had our first horse we actually raced together, a thing called Viva Speed. It won his first race at Dolby, so it won straight away. I think in his first, it was like 10 horses, all won in their first or second start, and they nearly all won in town. So he just had this ridiculous run of horses. You know, he's had a few slow ones obviously since, but he's put a lot of money into the stables in the last few years, particularly as his business has gone really well. He's very passionate about his racing, passionate about the bloodstock. So he's developing his own type brand now. And horses like this and Needorp, which you've seen of late, and he's got a plethora of other horses here. You'll see them supporting them black and white colours. Yeah, he's going to have a pretty good next couple of years, Brian. He's got some really, really nice horses here with me.
Tony, one race that since it's been renamed you haven't won is the Paddo Shade Plate. Have you got a nice little one that you're going to bring up the hill, mate, for a little sting for the boys, or what?
Look, I hope so. I haven't. I've only won it. I've only won that race once before it was the Paddo Show, I think once or twice. But my father was very good at winning it, much better than me at the 2-year-olds. He was brilliant at it. But
whiskey all round.
We try to. Yeah, whiskey all round. He did most of the work with it anyway, to be honest.
Yeah, he told me.
Yeah, he did. He helped me out there.
I was trying to get on it and I couldn't. Well, as a jockey manager, Damien Robinson got the ride. But anyway, that's no drama.
Yeah, no, I'd love to get up there and win that race. It's a good race. It was obviously very special to my family, so it's something I'd love to get up there and win now. It's not a race I'd probably put a lot of credence on since I've moved here, but I guess it's got a lot more meaning to me now, you know. So it'll be a race I'll be targeting, that's for sure and certain.
And it's Metro this year. It's on a Saturday.
Well, I think
if that happens.
I think that's the best move that's ever happened up there, personally, shifting the Wheatwood to the standalone Saturday up there in springtime. I think it's going to be great, and I really hope the town gets behind it up there. I think it's going to be awesome, and I've got a few horses getting ready for the Wheatwood already, having their rest now to come back for it, and you know, hopefully we can get up there. And I've never won that race.
That's one you've won, isn't it? Yeah.
I was going to say, one in mind for the boys, or what? You got
sorry?
You got one in mind now that you might be able to tip the boys here, you know?
No, well, I'll give Snitch a little break. I want to bring him back. I reckon he can win a Wheatwood. Yeah. I reckon he's the right sort of horse. His rating's probably there enough where he'll get in it. And I reckon fresh up, I can win a Wheatwood with him.
A couple of seconds. Catalo, as we mentioned.
Yeah, Catalo. What else are I second with?
You're going close.
I run second on that thing, and Michael Nolan's on the cushion too.
Yeah, we miss him.
Carriad run second. Yeah, well, you just couldn't beat it on the cushion. It was just a rocket, Mr. Magica.
So Paddy said too, didn't he? Bring them all on, she'll beat them.
Yeah. So you won a couple of Toowoomba Cups,
to Ben Curry. I won a Toowoomba Cup. Yeah, I won a Toowoomba Cup with Bang on the cushion. So that was good. I won nearly every other race up there, but I just haven't won the week. We've got to run second at 3 times.
Righto, so we might be able to do that this year. Now, Tony, one thing that you seem to be infamous for or famous for is your sprays. Now, every time we have anything to do with you or we talk to anyone, Bailey Notiff a few weeks ago was the most requested question we had. What's the best spray Tony's ever given you? So apparently you're not shy of a spray to a jockey. Is that right? Is that fair?
Well, like we spoke of before we come on, I wouldn't have to do it if they just did their job.
Real fair, mate. Back you on that.
I'm talking on behalf of the owner, the punter, everyone, just getting it all out there to them. So I have been accused of giving a few sprays. I had quietened down a little bit, but I must admit Bailey got a pretty good one the other day, probably as good as I've given. So
a pretty snappy one without a reply.
100%.
Have you ever been close to giving him? Ever been close to giving the old Luke Tarrant, mate? That he give the old Kid LV made a mess of his nose yesterday. Was that it?
Didn't that brighten up a dreary old Wednesday at Toowoomba? See, isolation is getting to everyone, even Luke.
Exactly. He's been hard done by, I thought.
No, I found it interesting. Actually, they said probably one of the protocols why he got 6 months was white because of the COVID, the metre and a half.
Social distancing.
Social distancing.
She got 6 months for writing work in the wrong jurisdiction. He got 6 months for headbutting Larry Cassidy. It just seems fair. All we ask for is consistency. It seems fair.
And also, Tony, I've just got a couple of questions. This is probably scary for you. Just a few viewer questions that have come through. They shall remain anonymous, but they reckon you'll work it out pretty quickly. There's 3 questions I got for you, mate. Now they've come through. The first one: when you had your red Toyota Celica, was Scrubs by TLC on repeat when you went lapping?
Never. I don't know what they're talking about.
So no?
No.
Righto. Question 2. Did you describe yourself as a ball-playing lock with a bit of natural speed before being moved to the front row 2 weeks later?
That's clearly from Gus McKellar.
Maybe.
And look, he may have misheard me. I don't think he misinterpreted me.
Right, and the third one, also maybe from the same individual. Did you intentionally turn up to sprint training with 2 left boots so you didn't get flogged by Josh Mason over 100 metres?
There's another stitch up. It actually wasn't my fault. I did bring 2 left boots, but I just bought a brand new and they packed them wrong. So, it was a bit of a stitch up.
Maso's got a bit of toe too, hasn't he?
Yeah, more toe than a Roman sandal. Have a look at him. You'd race him over 100, maybe not 20.
Yeah, so there's a few questions. No, Gus McKellar sent those through, asked me to said it'd be important to get your answers on those particular questions. So anyway, so that's that. Now, what about this weekend? You got about 300 runners in. What can you tell us about your starters this weekend?
I've got pretty good hopes all day. I could easily tip you the $1.50 chance in Isotope. But,
Joel will be all over that. He loves a bit of sauce on his fire.
Any price to winner, brother.
I think she'll get out, actually. I think they'll come for the toppy. I think I wouldn't bet early. I'd wait. I think she'll get out. I think she's going very well. But I particularly like my other 2-year-old. I got in the maiden. He's drawn really bad, but he's going really good. Paladas. He's improved distinctly off his first up run. I like him. I think Man to Match is very well weighted in the plate, drawn well. I really like him. And I thought Just Orm in the last, there'll be a few scratchings obviously out of that, but I think he's a good 1,000-metre specialist, and I think Blinker's on, he can get the job done.
All right, so there's a few. And what about, as you said, with Carnival, we talked about a few of those horses. Have you got a horse there that you think's worth black booking, one there that maybe is, I don't know, on disclosed form, hasn't done everything, like one that you think's got potential to take that next step?
Look, I think the Carnival probably, as I look at the Carnival over here to my left in my office, I don't think the Carnival's probably there for that sort of horse. I would have thought come Carnival time and a normal time, I would have thought a horse like McEwen could take a step and run in a Prime Minister's Cup or something like that, a lightweight or an eyeliner. We don't have them races at this Carnival. So I think you'll see most horses, the form will be, because it's so not as many options in the carnival, I think that sort of horse will be hard to find. There you go. So I think whatever we have, we want to be exposed going into it. The only unexposed ones will be 2-year-olds that have lightly raced or coming through a different corridor.
Okay, and last one from me, Tony. I wanted to touch on Bailey Notiff. We sort of joked before about obviously him copping a spray with snappy reply. Now, a kid that's come down from Toowoomba, you know the path quite well. You've always been fantastic with apprentices, particularly from Toowoomba and the opportunities that they've been able to gain. But this young man obviously started originally with Lindsay Hatch. I think fair to say he had a few little issues also, younger, but when he got down to yourself and obviously the latter part there with Lindsay, talk about a young man that has just gone from strength to strength and gone up a level. And obviously we know, as we said before with you, you are fair, but you are a hard marker. And he's he's your number one rider. So his transformation from who he was when he started to now, many good judges basically saying he is the best jockey in Queensland. Take apprentice or not out to say he's the best jockey riding in Queensland at the moment. But you must be pretty proud to see the journey that he's taken and where he's come to as he's about to come out of his time.
Yeah, look, I am. I'm very proud of him. From one troubled young man to another. It was pretty easy to relate to him. No, he's done a great job. He really has. He first and foremost, he's probably watching this. I don't say too many nice things about him. I have to smack him around in the morning anyway. But he's actually a first-class young man. I think that's first and foremost. That's what he sort of developed into. So it's very easy to give good people good opportunities. I think that's first and foremost. He relates very well to our owners. The way he rides, Lindsay, obviously did a lot of work with him in Toowoomba. He come down here, a relatively polished rider, and I just think getting on better horses, having more confidence, and just a few little things that we could help him with, and he's just taken it all on his own. So he's got some challenges ahead. Obviously he's a very tall boy, so it's important he keeps his weight down. He works hard on his fitness and keeps himself mentally prepared away from the track. When he does them three things and does them well, you get to see how good he is on Saturdays. When he has failure in any of them three areas there, he doesn't ride to his best. So, Bailey challenges are pretty well there for him now, but he's a very talented rider. It's up to him really how far he wants to go. He's got it all there, and he's certainly got our support. He has had since the minute he got here, and it's not going to waver as long as he stays here. So he's a big part of our business, and I'd like to think we're a pretty big part of his career, and I want to see him go as far as he can.
Tony, speaking of jockeys, mate, best one you've legged up on a horse, in your opinion?
I've used them all, the big ones. Probably James McDonald. I think he's probably my favourite. He rode my first Group 1, and we've remained mates ever since. And yeah, the Galaxy, and he rode Barbie on Magic Millions Day. He's very good. And I've had a lot of luck with Michael Rodd over the years too. He come back. I only spoke to Michael this morning actually. Unfortunately, he can't be here for the carnival, but that's the way it goes. But he's a very good rider. I've had a lot of luck with as well.
Know which one I prefer?
Yeah, J-Mac.
James?
James.
Michael Rodd. Michael Rodd every day
James
of the week times
James
300.
Oh, does he?
I think he's a little overrated.
He had a crush on Caitlin Malley and
No.
he stole it from one James stole it from the he's a bit dark.
Can't get past it.
Now, we all have our vices.
I got it now.
No. Anyway, no, that's all right. So, but yeah, 'cause he played a big part with Vega one, didn't he? And I'm guessing, you would have got a fair indication of what his thoughts were on the horse, because he obviously rode it in that race to qualify for the Strutty and everything like that. And as you said, he's ridden a lot of your horses over the years.
Right, mate. You just gave him a big rap, and you gave Bailey one. So they're both there. Stradbroke Day, ready to jump on Vega one, mate. Who you throwing on?
Well, he's not there. Michael Rodd won't be here. So at this point in time, as we talk, he's Bailey Notiff's horse at this stage for the carnival. So hopefully Bailey can do a good job on him. He was actually stiff, Bailey. He got suspended in the summer, and Michael Rodd became available to come up here and ride him, and that's how come Bailey didn't get back on him. Otherwise, Bailey would have been on him all summer carnival. So I have great confidence in Bailey. I think he'll do a great job this winter carnival, no matter who comes up here.
Any other questions?
Best horse you throw on a saddle on, mate?
The best horse? Probably Spirit of Boom's probably the best horse, yeah.
So it's your favourite, eh?
It is my
favourite.
Back, as we were speaking, back to your younger days, you're a budding footballer. best football you played with as a young fella, mate?
Oh, well, it's easier to say Thurston, isn't it? Because he's obviously gone on and done it all. He wasn't the best at the time, but however, he's obviously developed into the best. He's still a terrific bloke, and we still chat a lot now, but I played with heaps of good players. I don't think I played with any tougher than Mick Kennedy. He was tough. He was a really tough player, and another goon who was messaging there, Gus McKellar and Ned Murphy, who I played with later on. They were both good talents as well, but Toowoomba footy was a ton of fun, and that's certainly one of the major things I miss from the Downs.
Well, did you ever think you were going to pursue football as opposed to horse racing?
I did for a little bit, then I realised I wasn't good enough. So I'm glad I worked out better at this. I'd be struggling if I was only as good as this I was at footy.
So you'd be happy with the decision you made then?
I was. It was a pretty easy decision. I run out of ability in one area, and lucky I found a bit in the other.
And you mentioned before you still got great. I know I said it was my last question about 14 before, but anyway, you still got strong ties with Toowoomba. As you said, it's always going to be a place like you always be remembered as Toowoomba trainers, where you started, obviously family and that along these lines as well. So whilst in Brisbane and as I said, going amazingly well, Toowoomba still always is home.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, our family's not up there anymore. They're sort of down this way, but Toowoomba still feels like home. I love getting back there when I can. I'd love to have more runners there. It just gets a bit really tricky at the zoning at the moment. But we still have a lot of horses up there. Lindsay Hatch and Jay Capewell do a massive amount of pre-training and breaking in for us. And we spell most of our horses at Furlong. So we still have a huge connection to the Downs, and our truck's up there every week. So we're still pretty happy. I watch all the races up there every night, and I still remember them cold nights on that Clifford Park Hill, trying to get a dollar. But I certainly do miss a lot about Toowoomba, that's for sure and certain.
Yeah, no, and obviously, as you said, you went from top trainer at Clifford Park to top trainer in Brisbane in a matter of, you won the premiership from your second season on since you've been based in Brisbane. You led the first season, you led by a country mile early. Yeah,
as Kelly Sweeter said, I thought it was a half mile at Kilcoy. I came out of the gates that quick. I didn't realise it was more of a Melbourne Cup, so that's what he said to me. He thought it was pretty funny, and the next year I said, well, you're not even running for the Melbourne Cup, dickhead, so I don't know what you're giving me shit. So they love the gig down here. They're the same as from Toowoomba. There's always plenty of cheek beans thrown at each other amongst the trainers. But we came out of the blocks quick that first year. We got mowed down pretty quick, and the next year we consolidated, and we've been pretty strong ever since. But every year it's funny. You get challenges down here, but there's plenty of big stables, and there's always someone nipping at your heels. So we don't let the grass grow under our feet. We want to keep strong.
Who's one that you really like to pin down and just say, mate, I'd love to beat your horse every time we come up against each other?
Heathcote.
Yeah, we don't really see eye to eye a lot of the time. We do sometimes, but it's more negative.
Is the Sydney experiment off the cards or on ice?
The experiment is. I'll never do that again. I don't think with a smaller boutique stable. It's too competitive, Sydney, I think, to do that. I think you've got to have a lot, particularly coming from somewhere here where it's nowhere near as strong. So you have to have your best horses, your best owners, and you sort of got to be there if you want to grow that sort of stable. Otherwise, you can just travel there for the carnivals or overnight situations anyway. You don't need to have permanent residency there. So if I was ever going to do that again, I'd move lock, stock and barrel and make Brisbane a second stable and Sydney the main stable. But that's not on the cards as we speak here tonight. So, but maybe in a handful of years' time, who knows? I'm not sure if I want to be here forever. We'll just see what the next couple of years bring.
No, and most certainly successes come wherever you've been. So whatever the next step is or wherever that may be, I'm sure you'll make it a huge success. Tony, all the best over the carnival coming up, and obviously just in time in general. And look, mate, really, really appreciate you giving us your time on the show. It's been entertaining. It's been interesting. Hopefully we've helped the followers find a winner or two as well. What are we backing on the weekend? What'd you say again? Palladus. Right.
He's got it.
Palladus.
A man to match. And I think just Orm over the odds each way in the last,
Righto. So that's
fingers crossed. Something for the battlers. Yeah.
Something for the battlers, hoping to find a winner there across the weekend. But no, mate, really appreciate you giving us your time on the show, and hopefully we catch up with you again sometime soon.
Thanks, guys. Cheers, mate.
Tony Gollan joining us on the Semi-Pros. Great to have him with us. We'll take a break. More on the show up next. Welcome back to the Semi-Pros. Great to have your company. Wonderful to catch up with Tony Gollan. He's about your vintage, Troy, isn't he?
Yeah, Tony, year below. But obviously knew him pretty well through school and through the sporting scene, I suppose. Good bloke, golf. Good bloke. Loves home, as he said before. Yeah, real good fella.
Geez, he's aged well for nearly 50 then.
Yes. How about the head of hair on him, mate? Yeah, the little slick happening, and
I think he's got the same Darren Lockyer set up, I think.
yeah, better than my ugly thing. But
the Lyle Teskey powder and the hairspray.
Yeah.
No, he's it is an incredible story. He's done well when you consider he left here as the number one trainer at Clifford Park, went down, and as he said there in jest, I remember he was a mile in front in the premiership his first season.
He didn't train a winner for 9 months, I think, did he?
And then went on a spell like that. And then what I've always loved about Tony, and as you can see just with his attitude, his drive towards it, he just worked out, right, well, this is what went wrong the first year and worked it out. And then since then, he's been unbelievable, the success that he's had. And one thing I think everyone knows why is just he's meticulous at everything he does, right down to obviously from the placement of his horses, the form of the races that he's running in, all of that. His selection of obviously the jockeys he uses and who suits what horse and all of the rest of it is something amazing. But still never won a wheat ward.
No. Very loyal bloke too when you're doing the right thing by him. Like jockeys up here, Christy Banks was always sort of gets his steers. So he said he chop and changes a bit, but when sort of you do the right thing by him, he sort of sticks solid. So
yeah, exactly. So he's been great like that. And as I said, like his father was a great trainer in his own right, and then Tony obviously just taken it to a whole new level. And when Tony first moved down here, and Darryl obviously played a really big role with the stable, and meaning he was training the horses from Clifford Park, and they had obviously between the two bases in Toowoomba and Brisbane, and he still has those two bases to a degree obviously now with Lindsay Hatch and Jake Catewell, as you mentioned, doing some work with horses that he has here as well. But I think you probably asked a pertinent question there, Steve. I think how long do you think before we'll see a Tony Gollan in a Sydney or a Melbourne? You'd think he'd be one of those trainers that can take that progression like a Peter Moody did from Brisbane, obviously to the bigger areas or something like that. But you'd think he'd be a candidate to do something like that, wouldn't you?
Oh, for sure, especially if he continues to dominate Brisbane as he has. Like, and it's all good to go out and win and win easy, but if there's something bigger on the horizon, most guys are fairly, I suppose, want that bit more. Once you've got to a level, you want to strive a bit higher. So,
and if you know Tony, he is a competitive bloke. He is so competitive. With whatever he did when he played sport when he was younger, and you can tell he wants to take it another level.
And for sure,
and he's got the cattle to do it as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
He's got the good horses, he's got the good owners. So
they're starting to buy the right horses. They bought a few $500,000 horses at the last few sales. So give themselves opportunities anyway with those better bred yearlings.
And Steve, you've always said, like, of us guys here on the show, you've had a couple of horses with Tony in recent times, and you've always sort of spoken quite highly, obviously, just how he operates it, whether you've got a 1% share or 100% share, where your horse is running, the contact and just the way he handles his business, something you've always said you've been really impressed with.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I suppose, having a couple of horses around different stables, you can see why he's had success. He treats your owners as an owner, and that's all you really want as an owner of a horse. You want to sort of know what your horse is doing and where it's going and what its plans are. You don't expect them to really win too many races, but you just want to be involved with the feeling of being the horse ownership, because it is a thrill when you can get a horse up and get a win. And he just does that really well, looks after him. He's obviously trying to take that to another level. He's got, it's Andrew Doonerman on board with him down there doing a lot of his social stuff, and also just looking after his clients. So, he does well, and that's key to business in whatever area you're doing, really.
You both owned one together with him, didn't you?
Yeah, hands up for Detroit. Got a winner.
Yeah, he's got the photo out the other day, actually.
Yeah, it's still hanging in the pool room at Mum and Dad's place.
Yeah, 1-1 on the cush.
Straight up on the cush. I was going to ask you about that, but maybe next time.
Hands up for Detroit. We
Mudlark too, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Mudlark that had run 4 mile.
Yeah,
didn't go past A mile, and Yeah.
Hated the wet.
Hated getting the toes a little bit wet, but yeah, it was a good horse. Race
Did its job.
Yeah.
Thrill. Good thrill.
And that's what it's about. So, yeah.
Exactly.
So great to have Tony on the show. Right, let's just have a look. Southern Hotel shot clock. I suppose the big news the talking point this week, and we've talked about a lot as well, has been, obviously, we've seen the release of The Last Dance, the doco with the Bulls. And obviously it's captivated audiences. I said it broke all sorts of records, people that watched it. So first of all, Troy, your thoughts on it?
You know my thoughts, mate. It's kind of takes me back to those in the 90s ones in school. That's when I became a massive Jordan fan and what he does. It's the good thing about it is for blokes, say, like Joel's in that younger generation, they're getting to see what it was all about back in the 90s and not just the way he played, but what he did just worldwide in the 90s. He was just massive. But the good thing about this thing, I think you're seeing the good, the bad, and the ugly of the Bulls and Jordan, the way he was, how good he was, and you're probably going to see a few bad things about him as well.
It's a big thing, isn't it, to allow access all season?
Yeah,
massive, isn't it?
Cameras in there. And it's funny that it's taken however many years now before it actually comes out.
Yeah,
well.
Has that come out? Why it's taken so long?
I don't know. Yeah,
it adds to the theatre, but doesn't it? Like holding it back for that long. Yeah. And the good thing about it too is there's a bit of an Aussie flavour, isn't there, with big Luke Longley involved as well. Yeah, you probably won't see much of Luca, but if you have a look at that season, they're talking about that last season. That was Luke Longley's best season in the NBA as well. Averaged nearly 12 points a game in that season.
So, it's compelling watching, just looking at it, and I suppose
the best thing is, you haven't seen the Dennis Rodman stuff yet.
That's next, isn't it?
I saw
is it promo clip for it? Yeah, we're talking about.
You can get on Netflix there, and you can sort of just get a little bit of a gauge of what's coming with the titles of the episodes or whatever.
Oh, that'll be good.
Yeah,
wasn't it incredible to look at the battles or the squabbles or whatever you want to say between management?
Yeah,
and the greatest player, arguably, that's ever played, the greatest team that's ever played, yet he wanted Jerry Krause, and you saw he often gets much maligned, and I don't think he'd be getting a job after this, but he probably doesn't need one. But I mean, how he sort of portrayed in this, particularly in hindsight now when you consider who those players were, what they achieved, is very, very interesting to watch. Like Phil Jackson, he's going to Phil Jackson, this will be your last year.
That's unbelievable, isn't it? Unbelievable.
Phil went on to win a few more titles elsewhere.
And then Jordan says, I'm not playing unless Jackson's the coach, like things like that. Like for me personally, I think Troy hit it right on the head. Like, you can read as much as you want and you can watch as many highlights, but like a proper documentary like this, like, you know what I mean? I wasn't around, so I don't know what you boys do. You know what I mean? Like, this is second nature for you guys. So to see it now, I think it's unbelievable for people in my era and my vintage to come through and watch, a proper documentary on Jordan and his Bulls. Like, phenomenal. Gives you a real appreciation of you say how good they actually were.
Seen it yet, Steve?
Nah, mate, I've got a job. I've actually got a job.
24/7 job.
At the moment, it has
he has date nights, mate, instead of they watch in your TP, don't you?
Watch what?
You watch movies in your TP, don't you?
No, I don't follow.
Yes, you do. I saw something on the weekend. You and the missus have made a teepee on the couch.
The fort.
Oh yeah, no, I was doing stretches on the ground, but
athlete.
Yeah, right. Now, that being said, so Southern Hotel shot clock question posed this week. Now, after watching that and we're sort of seeing all the success of the Bulls, etc., who would you like to have seen that Bulls team, if we're going to say is one of the best ever, or come up against? Would it be LeBron at the Lakers, LeBron in Eastern Conference Finals with that team with the Heat? Is it the Golden State Warriors, obviously, with at their best? Was it, I don't know, who would you love to have seen them play? So prime versus prime in a era. What team would you like to see? What would have Jordan's Bulls up against? Who would it be?
the Lakers. I would have liked to have seen Kobe in his prime when he was with Shaq. So that would have been the big one.
99.
The Bulls could compete with all these other teams, but I just would have liked to have seen how they would have tried to contain Shaq with their team. Rodman and that were great defenders, but Shaq was just an absolute beast, wasn't he? So, yeah, just how they would have handled that, they probably could have in a certain way. But, if they could have handled Shaq, would have been a big thing in Kobe, I think.
Depends which way they're going to referee it. If they play it like they played back in the 80s, they would have handled Shaq with a couple of bows to the nose.
And that's the thing, the way they played back in the 90s and now. That's
hand check. We're doing hand check coming real. That's changed the way you could guard non-baller. Like Jordan could still do that in the hand check era. If they could hand check now, then half of the guys like Harden and that wouldn't be able to get to the hoop, I don't think.
Shaq would have been going the free throw line a bit, wouldn't he?
Even more so.
Yeah, he did a bit.
He found plenty of trips to the line. Well, who would you go with, Steve? Who would you want to see Jordan's that team play? Dream matchup.
So I don't know. It probably would be. Well, you'd like to see Jordan and LeBron matched up.
Which team? Heat.
Oh, yeah, that Miami Heat team.
So Eastern Conference Finals, Bulls v Heat.
Yeah, the dominant. Yeah.
So who would have matched up against Pippen? Would have taken LeBron, wouldn't he?
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. LeBron.
He'd have been
it wouldn't
D-Wade.
have been the matchup you get. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would have been D-Wade and the old big long goose. What's his name?
Doing
the punting.
Bosch. Chris Bosch.
The dinosaur. The big dinosaur.
Him and Rodman there battling.
Yep. Yeah. Interesting. Joel, who would you like to see him play?
It's hard. It's a hard one, isn't it? Like, obviously, as a Lakers fan, probably the 2009, 2010 Lakers with Kobe, Derek Fisher. You got Pau Gasol there. Was a real good big man. That Bynum, Meta World Peace. The defensive. Him and Rodman would have been pretty cool. Or him and
it would have been interesting watching.
That would have been a mad blue, wouldn't it? But then if you're trying to look to beat them, do you try to get a Golden State Warriors side with Steph, Clay, and Kevin Durant? That. And then you got the big man, what's his name, the power forward that... Draymond. That's a pretty solid side too, you know what I mean? So, But, especially with my man Shannon Brown in the 2009-10 Lakers, I would have loved to have seen that.
Did you see that there was a heat map of the season where
Unreal.
Jordan scored as opposed to where Harden scored?
Yes.
When they both won the scoring title. So Jordan probably didn't have a heat spot outside the 3 line, so the pull-up jumpers sort of half attack or attack the rim, as in Harden didn't have one inside. So
it was
shows you how much the game's changed over two decades. Yeah,
definitely.
One of the coaches came out this week and said he thinks if Jordan would have played this year and now, he would have averaged plus 40. Because he could shoot a 3, but didn't as much. Like, look at the Portland finals game where he drained 6 threes in the first half, hit 35 in the first half. Good, but obviously his mid-range to long-range jumper was his
fade away.
Yeah. They reckon he would average 40, but who knows?
I couldn't believe the enormity of that second season. Like, that was unbelievable in that doco. Like, when they benched him and only let him play 14 minutes and then
against
the Celtics. Why didn't he come out against the Celtics?
49 and 63 or whatever it was in back-to-back games.
Unbelievable, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's when it would have been amazing to see him play in that time frame. But mine, to answer the question, mine is
the Monstars.
Yeah, he went well against them. No, the next version of Space Jam. No, what Joel sort of mentioned, I'd love to have seen him play Golden State. So the old triangle of Phil Jackson's up against that free-flowing move the ball, offense that Golden State had would be really, really interesting because you'd have some pretty interesting matchups in that, in that regard as well. Even as, like you mentioned before, like Draymond, imagine Draymond Green and Dennis Rodman.
Well, they would have got ejected for sure.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. Like, it would have been.
So would Draymond and so would Dennis Rodman and Meta World Peace.
Probably.
And they didn't do it in the crowd still.
So, yeah, I'd just be interested to see how that went because what would you end up with? I don't know. Would Pippen end up guarding Durant, and you'd have what would Jordan be guarding? God, no, Klay Thompson or Steph Curry or I don't know.
He'd guard Curry.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought.
He'd want the man.
Yeah, so he'd imagine that matchup. So obviously, offensively, Jordan's frame, if it's the other way around, he'd score at will.
KD would pick up on him, wouldn't he?
Probably Clay, I'd say. But yeah, whoever. So, but yeah, it's intriguing, but it's really interesting viewing, and I'm really looking forward to the next episode because it's the one I think where they feature a lot on Rodman. And did you see the promo they talked about there? Because they talked about that. It was you. If suppose you watched it last week, they had, of course, the part where Pippen with his foot injury and delayed the surgery and all that sort of stuff. So they're talking about how Rodman. He said with Pippen out, Rodman was just like, this was Jordan. I saw the promo to and Jordan saying he was just a model citizen. He was just perfect, and it was driving Dennis insane. So when Pippen came back, Rodman went to Phil Jackson and said, "I need a holiday just to let loose. You need to let me go to Vegas just to let loose."
That would have been a good holiday to be on.
Well, that's why I'm looking forward to watching it. So they're saying so then they called over MJ and told him, and MJ said to Phil, he said, "You let this guy go on a vacation, we're never going to see him again." He said, "You let this guy go on a vacation to Vegas, we're definitely never going to see him again." So they put a time frame on it, said 48 hours. So he said, right, so to get let loose. So he went to Vegas, but then they had to go and pick him up. And Jordan said he wouldn't say what he found in the bed when he picked him up. They had actually, because he went MIA. They had to get him out of a hotel in Vegas or somewhere in Vegas. So yeah, looking forward to watching that unfold and how that's retold and that in the doco. So, but yeah, no, it was amazing viewing and yeah, what do we have to? They release another 2 come Monday night Australian time. So, and right through until we'll see the full 10 seasons.
I'm probably just going to watch them every time they come out, and then go back and watch them like 1 to 10 when I get a chance.
Yeah,
just a marathon.
Yeah, have to.
Back to back.
That'd be heavy watching, wouldn't it? 10 hours.
Yeah, it would.
Good watching.
Yeah, so that came out there. So Southern Hotel shot clock, that's our question. Who would you want to have seen Jordan and the Bulls of that 90s era come up against? So we have a few different ones there. I said Golden State. Troy was with, what did you say, Miami? Was that Steve?
Shaq and Kobe at the Lakers.
And Joel was a similar Lakers era.
09, 2010 Lakers,
and Steve's with the Heaters, the Super Friends. Bosh, Wade, and LeBron. That's our Southern Hotel shot clock. Make sure you support the Southern Hotel. So at the moment, obviously, as well, doing all their takeaway meals. So jump onto their website and learn more about that. So take advantage of some awesome deals. So if you don't plan on cooking this weekend or any day, consider dropping out and seeing the team at the Southern Hotel. So support those who support us here on the Semi-Pros. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to have a look at Rocks and Diamonds, thanks to Hogans Family Jewelers. That's up next on the Semi-Pros. Welcome back to the Semi-Pros. Thanks for having your company. Thanks for joining us on the show. Let's have a look now at our Hogans family jewelers, Rocks and Diamonds. Continuing on in the Michael Jordan theme. So Rocks and Diamonds, so diamond moment of Jordan's career and the rock moment. Should be a few interesting ones here. What do you want to start with? Rocks or Diamonds? Go with Rocks, eh? Yeah, Rocks. Righto. Troy?
Yeah. Rock. Baseball.
Troy.
Troy.
His baseball career. Come on,
I'll change mine. Yep.
Yeah, mine too.
Oh, really? You can have it. I'll go back to Medical Bill. Bill Cartwright. So when they traded his mate Charles Oakley, Charles was bit of his minder before they went on that run, winning 3 when he was young. And they traded Charles and got big Bill Cartwright in for a bit of experience and scoring. And Jordan just hated it and called him Medical Bill. He's always injured. And apparently just went at him at trainings massively and just run him down all the time. And, him and Bill didn't really get along. So it was probably one of his bad moments. As you can see, for me, he's one of the biggest alpha males I'll ever see. And if he didn't like someone, he told them how it was and dominated them. So the way he probably treated Big Bill was one of his bad moments, I would say, in his career. Yeah.
Medical Bill. Right, I think we're all pretty unanimous in the baseball thing, so we'll leave that as a side. Steve, what do you reckon?
His attempt as an owner GM with the Wizards and then drafting Kwame Brown.
Multiple players he drafted.
Yeah. The worst draft
Adam Morrison
regarded ever.
Yeah.
So just because you can play the game doesn't mean you know how to run the game. That goes to show, but yeah. Washington Wizards, should have put that one in the back pocket and sold a few more shoes instead.
Joel?
Well, yeah, I was going to run that as well, but now I'm going to have to run the Hitler stash. Remember he ran that for a while in the 2000s? He thought it was cool to have the Hitler-style moustache. Like, I don't mind it myself, but I'm not one to comment because I can't grow hair here. So, that'll have to be my fallback, given that we've barred the baseball career and and Steve already talked about the draft pick. So the Hitler stash for me.
The Hitler stash, righto. Mine was similar vein. Actually, just speaking of Joel Seaby, a good friend of the show, if you guys have got your Facebook chat, we'll see he sent us that picture that we were talking about.
He did too.
And you can see, if you've ever seen it, look at Jordan's as opposed to James Harden's, just in terms of most common jump shot locations. It is crazy to see. My moment for him is in his current status as owner of who? Charlotte.
Oh, no, Charlotte's, yeah.
And they're going like bastards. They've got a star, and he basically said, "I don't know, you can go. Just let him get him go for nothing." Kemba Walker. So I don't know what his plan is. Like, I just don't. As you said, Steve, being a great player doesn't translate to being a great coach. Being a great player doesn't translate to being a great owner necessarily. It does work out in some cases, but you'd have to say the greatest hasn't worked out to be that savvy in the old GM stakes or owner stakes, because even that, like, so what's the future of Charlotte without Kemba, or even if it was without Kemba, but what are you going to do? Just play the draft game for...
which is funny because as a business bloke, he's obviously pretty cluey because the
amazing
brand is
a $1 billion brand.
Yeah.
And I'll just say, and it takes me back, I thought the irony of that statement was when they talked to, you would have seen guys that saw the first episode of that series when they were talking about, Jerry Krause saying they wanted to rebuild and blah, blah, blah. And Jordan said the Cubs have been trying to rebuild for 42 years. So saying, it wasn't a good idea to get rid of him, people, break up the band, so to speak, because he said, and go into a rebuild. How long's a rebuild going to last? So I kind of thought, well, that was his mentality as a player. Well, then you had a legitimate all-star who, from what I read, wanted to actually stay there, but basically they didn't want to pay him the money he was worth, and he just pretty much walked. What for? Marcus Smart? Who'd they get in return? No, Terry Rozier they got in return. So
good.
I don't know. Yeah, so that's to me, yeah, so a similar sort of vein to you, Steve. This should be good. Diamond moment. This could be one of a million. Let's see how many of us come up with the same one. You can start, Troy.
I'm going to go his last game for the Bulls.
Yep.
Against Utah. They dropped game 5. He had a buzzer beater try and win game 5. And Jordan's missed it. So they've gone back to Utah for game 6 in a tight tussle. 87-86 it panned out. And Jordan hit the winning game shot over Russell. Russell would have had nightmares about Jordan.
Yeah.
The game winners he hit in big games against him, were unbelievable. Yeah, 87-86, and Jordan's hit 45 in a low-scoring contest. That game winner hit was unbelievable. But to do it after he's come out and missed the game winner the game before, and to just have the balls to come out and go, doesn't matter what's happening, but we're winning or losing on my hand. And that was his last game for the Bulls. That's the one for me.
Should have been his last shot. But anyway, he said a few years with the Wizards.
Yep.
Steve?
Yeah, I was going to say the Byron Russell crossover to that jump shot pretty much. So, geez, Utah, guys like Stockton and Malone, one of the best combos, first ballot Hall of Famers. And they not just Byron Russell, Hornacek,
Greg Ostertag.
Yeah, mate, they'd all be haunted by Jordan. So. Utah conglomerate. So, other than that, what else has you done? Not much.
Space Jam.
Baseball. Jordan rides the bus. Okay.
You've just kept doing. Like, nothing's really stands out. Like, that one shot does because obviously the enormity of it. But the stuff he did that was unbelievable, he did on the regular. So, handy.
Handy
Not
type.
bad. Yeah. Joel?
Fair to middling.
Yeah.
Obviously that was a standout moment because it was his last shot in a Bulls uniform. But for something a bit different, what about his game winner for North Carolina?
Yeah.
Was he a rookie that year or a freshman that year?
Freshman, I believe.
Yeah, I think he was a freshman, and Worthy went on to obviously win the MVP, James Worthy. But when he sank bloody Patrick Ewing's Georgetown Hoyas for the North Carolina boys.
Yeah.
So that's when you really learned that he was a superstar.
That was sort of his coming out party.
Yeah,
in that
exactly.
shot.
Everyone's like, whoa.
Yet he still went number 3 in the draft behind.
How that ever happened, you'll never know.
Big boys
Obviously, that big boys. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
but also you have to remember. I mean, hindsight is a wonderful thing, obviously. But I mean, the reason Portland didn't take him, of course, was they just drafted him. It was a superstar in Clyde Drexler, who was fair player himself. But again, in hindsight, you probably would have taken Jordan, wouldn't you? Put the two of them together.
And was a freak.
Yeah, exactly. And like
Elijah was a big freak back then.
Yeah,
and he went. So like the players, obviously Portland's decision at the old Bowie blunder. That's another bloke will have nightmares about Jordan for the rest of his life, won't he? So being a bloke selected ahead of MJ. But mine, we brought up a few of them there. I obviously same thing, just that last shot over poor old Byron Russell. But maybe another one, the iconic jump shot he hit over old Craig Elo and the Cavs. On the free throw line, so to knock them out of one of the playoffs, one of those years there. So, or as you said, like rewatching some of the highlights of that.
The ice
with Matumbo.
Free throw.
Yeah,
with Matumbo.
Flu game,
That didn't get
flu game, all those sort of things, So, there's the one you mentioned earlier, Bubs, the 35 points in the first half against Portland with the 6 threes, the shrug. There's so many iconic moments. I think everyone's probably a little bit different in some ways, but so there's so many. I think Steve pretty hit the nail on the head, didn't you? When you said there's just so many, and it was just the norm.
Week after week, yeah.
The way he could get to the rack and just control his body, like he'd be up in the air and manipulate himself to dive through another opening, and he was good, pretty good.
He was good,
pretty good.
Yeah, not bad, not too bad at all. Righto, let's wrap this bad boy up. Hogan's Family Jewelers, Roxwood Diamonds. So that's a look at that. Can we find a winner this weekend? The multi of the week. You get choices between Friday and Saturday. What do we like?
Last week.
No good.
I've got nuts again on the line.
Mate, I'm still on.
About 4 or 5 in a row.
I'm still on the old duck egg, me.
Actually, I forgot to speak to Tony about the move. Jeez.
Oh,
That thing's crucified me a couple of weeks now.
Yes.
You want to lead off?
Yeah, you go, Troy.
I'm going one that I went a couple of weeks ago. That ran second as well. Wapiti. It's in Brisbane, race 6, number 7. About $8, I think it is at the moment. Ran
Brisbane,
second.
Sunny Coast.
Brisbane, BR, as in Sunshine Coast, yes. $8, third up. Ran second last start. Hit the line well. I'm going to have a few shillings on it.
No.
Wapiti.
Okay. Steve, the follow-up, what's yours, the Black Book Stakes?
Well, I tell you, there is one in the Black Book too.
Could take the easy option because Baccarat Baby's it'll just win.
Yeah.
But I've got one here which has had success in the past too. Big price. Sunny Coast on Saturday, big straight. This horse had a run last week, bit of a pipe opener, and snuck under the guard of a few. We'll go to race 8, number 11, Pressway. It'll get home. It's out to 1,400, backing on the 7-day backup. Got beat about 3.6 and a really good run, and you can get $41 about it. So,
Jeez.
41s. And barrier 8, it'll get back, but Sunny Coast, if we can get some speed on, $41. I think it'll start a lot shorter, but there's a bet to be had in that.
He's trying to take my place on the team.
Jeez, I tell you what, that gets home. That's a lovely bet.
Even like on a 1x4 basis.
Exactly. Yes.
If you're smart.
For the ones that like to peel the outside of the pea casings off prior to eating.
Yeah, anyway, that horse. Is it up to me? I'm on Flemington race 8. Keen this week. We've said this a few times and it's gone good for me, but keen on this. Race 8, number 7, Super Titus. Last run, it hit the line nicely over unsuitable distance on the track when you couldn't make any ground behind Kentucky Breeze, and he missed under a length on one of those red hot days at Caulfield where you just couldn't make any ground, came down the middle of the track. Be third up now, gets to a track that it's had some success at, and as I said, third run back from a spell. Meets a few of these horses again that it raced last time. I'd find it hard to see them turning the tide on it. So I think it'll be really competitive. And again, same thing, look at that, 850 and 290. So 1x4 basis, there's plenty to be had there about the 290. I mean, I won't be. I'll be going straight out. But as I said, at 290 a place, there's a good opportunity there to make some money, hopefully, if it runs top 3, if it can run a drum. So Super Titus for me, that's my selection there in Flemington, the lucky last. So I'll have to be patient and wait to the lucky last. But Super Titus for me. Right,
I'm Rosehill race 5, number 2, Graph. One for the Nova Castrians.
Apologies.
No, you're right, mate. Just push in. Yeah, that's fine. The reigning tipster of the year, bloody 4 or 5 weeks in a row. You got to spruik it because no one else will. But
What did you do last week?
I don't know, but it won. On the Friday, the Gold Coast met on the Friday. It was
$1.70.
$3.50 actually. $3.50. Mate, you don't get paid for next start, Stephen.
I'll get more money. I'm going to put it in term deposit and get more money back.
But you don't like backing winners. Graph, one for the Nova Castrians, $4.40. Steffi Graph. It's first up, obviously, into the Gold Rush. This meet was supposed to be at Hawkesbury.
Yeah, Hawkesbury standalone.
Yeah, but Huey Bowman goes on, barrier 4. Stroll, it beat Le Romain, which is about 100 years old, by 3 lengths. It just looks cherry ripe for this race. 6 is into $4.40. Get on.
Righto, that's the one that we're on. All right, let's hope we can find a winner or two with those across the weekend. So that is our multi of the week. Good luck if you're having a punt this weekend. It's been another great show. Great to have Tony Gollan with us earlier today. Hopefully he helped us find a winner or two. As I said, great story, Mike. So if we can get that one edited up and thrown up there for you to have a look at Tony's thoughts. Maybe if Zach, our producer's there, we can do that before Saturday. That'd be handy, seeing with all of the horses running on Saturday. Obviously, those we premiere the show, the Facebook Live show, and on the radio on Saturday morning as well. So plenty of ways that you can tune in. And of course, the podcast as well. So we've got the link up there for that also in the post, so you can listen to it via our podcast also. Thanks, boys. go well. Good show.
Been good.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next week on the Semi-Pros.
Bye-bye.
Just about doing, mate. Surely. There you go. That's outstanding. That much talent running around in our own backyard.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Semi-Pros. The Semi-Pros. Ladies and gentlemen, you got the Skull.